If you could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, God, for bringing us here safely tonight. Please give us the guidance and the wisdom to make the right decisions for our community. This we pray. Amen. Amen. May we have a roll call, please?
Present.
Present. Present.
Present.
Present. Item number 5, these are ceremonial matters. At this time, we would like to recognize a couple of our local veterinarians. I'm a veteran.
I'm a veteran.
Let me clarify that, veterinarian. Okay. At this time, I'd like to, let me call Suzanne Sullivan up here, please. Okay. Well, let me read it first, and then you can go down there and use that mic if it's easier. Sure. Stand there by it. Okay, at this time I'd like to say, whereas Suzanne Ellen Sullivan has provided the Newman Police Department and the community of Newman with invaluable service without compensation, and whereas Suzanne Sullivan volunteers her time to assist Stanislaus County and the city of Newman with annual dog licensing and vaccination clinic, and whereas Susan Sullivan and her staff have participated in the feral cat program and have spayed or neutered 170 cats to date. In addition, these cats were tested for leukemia and other diseases and vaccinated accordingly. The healthy cats were released, and cats that were suffering with diseases were put to sleep and not let suffer. This decreased the breeding population of the stray wild cats and provided for a healthier population of these cats and owned cats in the community. And whereas Suzanne Sullivan has assisted the City of Newman Animal Control Officer by taking care of injured animals in the field and those brought to her office, thus making their treatment more humane and ensures the safety of the city's animal control officer. And whereas Suzanne Sullivan has assisted in the care of abused animals found in the community and assisted the police department with animal cruelty violations. And whereas Suzanne Sullivan has taken care of wild animals such as hawks, buzzards, possums, crows, squirrels, turtles, and ever-growing assortment of God's creatures. These animals were reintroduced into the wild when healthy, and whereas Suzanne Sullivan has assisted in finding homes for a great number of unwanted pets in our community, which has put smiles on the faces of both the pets and the new owners. Now, therefore, I, Charles Marquez, on behalf of the Newman City Council, do hereby and thank Suzanne Ellen Sullivan from the Westside Animal Hospital for her ongoing service to the community without compensation, and hereby commend Suzanne as one of Newman's unsung heroes, dated this 22nd day of August 2000. I'd like to present it to you on her behalf. And secondly, I'd like to give another proclamation to Kathy Wallace. There she is, okay. Whereas Kathy Wallace has provided the Newman Police Department and the community of Newman with invaluable service without compensation, and whereas Kathy Wallace volunteers her time to assist Stanislaus County and the city of Newman with annual dog licensing and vaccination clinic, and whereas Kathy Wallace and her staff have participated in the feral cat program and have spayed or neutered 170 cats to date. In addition, these cats were tested for leukemia and other diseases and vaccinated accordingly. The healthy cats were released, and cats that were suffering with diseases were put to sleep and not let to suffer. This decreased the breeding population of the stray and wild cats and provided for a healthier population of these cats and owned cats in the community. And whereas Kathy Wallace has assisted the City of Newman Animal Control Officer by taking care of injured animals in the field and those brought to her office, thus making their treatment more humane and ensures the safety of the city's animal control officer. And whereas Kathy Wallace has responded to police crime scenes at all hours of the day and night in which animals were severely injured and in need of urgent care. This service provided the safety of both the animals and the police officers involved. And Kathy Wallace has assisted in the care of abused animals found in the community and assisted the police department with animal cruelty violations. And whereas Kathy Wallace has taken care of wild animals such as hawks, buzzards, possums, crows, squirrels, turtles, and ever-growing assortment of God's creatures, these animals were introduced into the wild when healthy. And whereas Kathy Wallace has assisted in finding homes for a great number of unwanted pets in our community, which has put smiles on the faces of both pets and the owners. Now, therefore, I, Charles Marquez, on behalf of the Newman City Council, do hereby and thank Kathy Wallace from G-Bar-N Veterinary Clinic for her ongoing service to the community without compensation, and hereby commend Kathy as one of Newman's unsung heroes, dated this 22nd day of August, 2000. And I want to thank you again on behalf of the council. Thank you. Thank you again. Item number 6, these are communications from the staff. Is there anything tonight? Nothing. Okay. Item number 7, these are items from the public. These are non-agenda items. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in the meetings, it would be appreciated if you would limit your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. Matters under the jurisdiction of the Council not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public at this time. However, California law prohibits the Council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Council. Are there any non-agenda items? Ken?
Yeah, my name's Ken Rose, 2118 Creek Court, Newman, California. I know that the city is going forward and they're doing everything they can to revitalize the downtown. It is brought to our attention, this is on behalf of an event that the town hosts every October. It's called the West Side Classic. This is an event that draws people from all over Northern California. It's usually the third or the second largest band review in Northern California. According to the merchants in the community, this event generates the most voluminous revenue on any given day, even more so than during the fall festival. As a whole, the population swells to in excess of 10,000 people. The concern I have is the fact that we draw bands from all over Northern California is they enjoy and they love the acoustics of the downtown. One of the other things is the wideness of our streets in comparison to other towns. It gives them the ability to perform on a larger playing surface, basically. The area of competition begins in front of the theater and goes until it passes the Pioneer Drugs. I understand that with the new streetscape that they're going to put in planters at the corners. I haven't been able to see any pictures or any artist rendering of this, so all I have is hearsay. The concern I have is on that one corner, if the planters are exceeded out into the driving area in excess of at least 2 or 3 feet further out, it's going to create a hindrance. Some people have proposed that you march over them. If you're going to put planters in there and flowers, you really can't march over them. And what it's going to do is it's going to cause an impact to the students that are marching. I would encourage the council to direct staff to work with the engineers and to see if there's any way it's possible that one particular corner could be redesigned to allow a full competition path. The community, we have people that come back year after year, and I would just encourage the staff and to work with the engineers and to see if that is a possibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that something we could look into, Cleve, with the streetscape committee?
It has been brought to our attention previously. The engineer has looked at some options. We haven't found a good solution yet, but I can bring back a report to you and see what we can do.
Okay. And we'll go ahead.
Yeah, Ken, these planters aren't going to extend into the driving area of the street. They'd only be where cars would be normally parked. Right. That's how far they're out there going.
Right,
so.
if you bring it out 8 feet on either side, you shrunk the competition from 70 feet wide down to 45 feet wide because you've eliminated.
But I don't believe if you haven't seen the drawings themselves.
But that's what I've asked.
Okay. Can we? Well, they've been available at several meetings.
The plans are completed, and if you'd like to come into either City Hall or the engineer's office, the previous band instructor did that and came and looked at those as well as many other people. So you're welcome to come in and look at those either in my office or in the city engineer's office. Those are available for review.
Okay.
So,
I think that's what the concern is. There's been no change.
Right.
in that
Okay, well,
plan.
why don't we do that as a first step? Right. That would be the first step. Just go ahead and go on into City Hall, take a look at the plans, and then beyond then, you know, we could go from there.
Okay.
All right? Thank you. Okay, any other non-agenda items? Sure, come on up. If you could state your name and address for the record, please. Up here, there.
microphone first, Tina.
Hi, my name is Tina Pfluger, and I live at
You could
10...
lift up the microphone a little. Sorry about that.
I live at 1030 Magpie Court.
What was your name again? Sorry.
Tina Pfluger. You spell it Pflueger.
Okay.
And I just wanted to know, how do I go about possibly getting a benefit for my daughter who has a brain injury? Put together in town some music in the park maybe, and some food booths sometime in the beginning of October, so that I can help pay for a therapy treatment out of Chico, California. It's for hyperbarics. We've been recommended to go there, and it's about $10,000, and I just don't know how to come up with the money. So people have recommended to do a benefit, and so I came here to, you know, see if there's any way to do it.
Right. Actually, the process would be is if you're interested in, let's say, renting the park for some type of event, you would go down City Hall, more than likely talk to Cleve about, you know, the exact process, and then as far as the cost of the permits and so forth, and then, you know, you could go from there.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
and let me give you the number at City Hall. It's 862.
I have it.
Oh, okay.
I left a message on Cleve's.
You did, and I apologize.
That's
I haven't had a
okay.
chance to get back with you
I figured
yet,
I was
but
going to be here
yeah.
tonight, and we could talk after
Sure.
or
Okay.
whatever, but I just kind of, I wanted to know, I mean, can we do that maybe?
We could go through what the process is and give you an idea, and then just see if that's something that works with you. Okay?
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other non-agenda items? No? Okay. Items from the public. These are agenda items. Any member of the audience desiring to address the council on a matter on the agenda, please raise your hand or step to the podium at the time the item is announced by the mayor. In order that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak, any person addressing the council will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes unless the mayor and the council grants a longer period of time. Item 8, these are public hearings. There are none tonight. Item 9, this is a consent calendar. Item 9A is approval of warrants. B, approval of minutes of July 24th, 2000, and special meeting of July 25th, 2000, regular meeting, and August 1st, 2000 special meeting. Item 9C is to adopt the California Model Floodplain Management Ordinance of June 1999 with modifications as provided by the State Department of Water Resources, to introduce number 2000-4 Floodplain Management Ordinance. Are there any questions on the consent calendar?
Just item A, we need to pull out 19169 to PG&E.
And it's listed under 10H for
Right.
separate approval. Yeah.
But if you do it this way, you're approving them all.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, so can we do those except for the item that was...
What was that item number again?
Another one, yeah, beside that.
Okay, go ahead.
191.
Item 10B.
Well, that's in the regular business, isn't that under regular business?
Yeah, we're just at 9, we're at 9A. We're in the 9s right now in the consent calendar.
Yeah, he wants to
I
pull
mean,
9.
9B.
Oh,
excuse me.
9B.
I'm sorry.
It's already been.
Right, 9B.
Yeah, right.
Any other ones that need to be pulled? No? Can we have some direction on C and A with the exception of the,
I move approval of 9C, adoption of the floodplain management ordinance.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item A with the exception of, what was the line item again, Tom?
19169.
19169. Can we approve item A with the exception of item 19169?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can we have some direction on item 19169, warrant paid to
That'll
P?
be handled separately. It's on under 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's there. It just wasn't in the warrant.
Oh, okay, it's down on the warrants. Okay, never mind. Okay, is there discussion on 9B?
Yes, on July 25th, Councilman Martina, you were here on that meeting, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Right, I was.
It
Oh, I
it
wasn't here on the
lists
first.
Applegate, Reed, Radford, and Mayor Marquez. It doesn't list.
What did I just left off? You see that, Judy? Just, number 4 on the minutes leaves Martinez's name off, so, thank you.
That was all.
That's it.
Okay. Can we have some direction on that item?
Move approval of item 9B, approval of minutes July 24th and July 25th regular meeting and August 1st special meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item 10A, this is an information item, presentation by the Stanislaus County District Attorney's Office. And tonight we have Miss Linda McFadden, Deputy District Attorney. Good evening.
I want to thank you for inviting me here tonight to make this presentation to you. I'm with the Stanislaus County District Attorney's Office. My name's Linda McFadden, and if I can prove my technical capabilities here, I have a presentation to you tonight about the multidisciplinary interview team that we're putting together in this county. The interview team is designed to eliminate the trauma associated with children who are victims or suspected victims of child abuse, neglect, or molest. And might take a few minutes for this equipment to warm up. Yes. I want to tell you that I've been working with children who are suspected abused children for a number of years now. I currently am the leader of the Crimes Against Children unit in this county, and the way things operate right now is that children who are suspected of being abused or neglected, they are first interviewed by a patrol officer, then they're interviewed by a detective, then they come in to be interviewed in our office, and frequently then they're sent to a medical professional to be interviewed. And also, at times, we see Child Protective Services who are involved in the interviewing of these children as well. So the children are having to go through a series of interviews. Our goal in this county is to reduce the number of interviews that the children actually are encountering. And we believe that this will bring a more effective investigation and prosecution in these cases. We also believe that it will reduce the trauma to the victims. First of all, I wanted to bring to light the background of one of the reasons why we began forming the interview team. In March of 1998, there was a transfer of knowledge firm sponsored by the Office of Criminal Justice and Planning and California Children's Act Task Force that basically was a recommendation that all counties develop a multidisciplinary protocol. The task force formed in April of 1998, and that was in our county. We sought to develop a protocol for the multidisciplinary task team, and we gave us an 18-month timeline. This was a building block for the Multidisciplinary Interview Center. Our mission statement is that the County of Stanislaus, in partnership with the District Attorney, all local law enforcement agencies, child protection agencies, the mental and medical health community, schools, and others concerned with the care and protection of children, seek to protect child victims and witnesses who are exposed to abuse. We set out some goals. First, to minimize the trauma to child victims and witnesses through a cooperative, multidisciplinary approach to intervention, investigation, and prosecution. To reduce the number of interviews to which children are exposed. To treat children with dignity and respect. We set forth roles for all the agencies and their descriptions. First, for law enforcement, protecting children from additional trauma, determining whether there is a violation of law, investigation for presentation of a criminal case to the district attorney. Then Child Protective Services, protection of children from abuse, neglect, and or exploitation by their parents or caretakers, assessment of relevant social, cultural, and physical factors on each child, parent, and caretaker, and a case plan to identify services to reduce or eliminate the risk level resulting in reunification or a permanent plan. Then for the District Attorney's Office, Crimes Against Children Unit, prosecutes all felonies and misdemeanor crimes involving child abuse, specialized training, and legal assistance to law enforcement in these areas. Also communication with other agency participants. Our Victim Services Unit in the District Attorney's Office has a role of crisis intervention, emergency assistance, peer counseling, and resource referral. Also courtroom orientation for the victims and their families, and court escorts during the prosecution. Also to provide the victims with information regarding victim impact statements at the time of sentencing, and to assist with the interviews that are conducted. Also provide a court waiting area for victims and their families. County Council. Their role is to provide legal advice and representation to the Community Service Agency, review evidence for juvenile court petitions, appear at juvenile court proceedings, and then the medical professionals. They are mandated reporters under the Penal Code Section 11,165.8. Their role will be to obtain minimal information during their examination of the child, and no forensic examination will be conducted until law enforcement is notified. Health Service Agency is to contract with the county to perform all forensic examinations of the children and victims. Rape Crisis and Haven Advocates have the role of and description. They must have 40 hours of training minimum. They are supervised by a counselor, and they are on call for call-outs 24 hours. They are contacted by law enforcement when needed, and they provide crisis intervention, support and comfort, referrals and information, and follow-up. Mental health in this county is also a mandated reporter. They will also be involved in just obtaining minimal information for reporting. They are available for treatment for the child and the family. For serious emotional problems, they will be referred to the Behavioral Health Center, the Mental Health Children's System of Care, and less serious emotional problems will be referred to a community provider. The schools are also involved. They are mandated reporters again. They oftentimes are the first, the teachers or the counselors in school are oftentimes the first people to hear about the abuse that is going on. They are basically just to provide and obtain a brief history of the incident, cooperate with authorities, and they have agreed they will not conduct their own investigations. They may be present at interviews in the schools for support. Now, the first responder team is usually the CPS officer or the police officer on patrol who goes out to find out whether there's a crime. And they shall determine the nature of the abuse, when the abuse occurred, and where the abuse occurred. They also must find out and determine if the minor is still at risk. They also, if necessary, they'll determine whether a medical exam should be conducted immediately. The medical exams, the procedure for the medical exam is that the responding officer will determine whether it's needed, and that the interviews that the medical history will take place, and all the interviews will preferably take place at the Multi-Disciplinary Interview Center, which hopefully we'll be able to obtain in this county soon. Medical examinations are for the purpose of evidence collection, and that evidence is given to law enforcement. The forensic interviews. The purpose and goal of a forensic interview is to identify the perpetrator and the relationship of the perpetrator, to establish any time frames of when the abuse occurred, the location of the abuse, and involvement of any others, to obtain specific details of the abuse, to provide videotape of the interview, crisis intervention and community referrals, and to reduce the trauma to the child victim. Forensic interviews, the question is when to consider a forensic interview, and that will be when suspected sexual or physical abuse or severe neglect has occurred, when there's a child who is a witness to violent crime, a child who may have witnessed siblings abuse, a child or an adult who is developmentally disabled, and if there are communication barriers. So these forensic interviews can be conducted with other than young children, if sometimes there are developmentally disabled adults who are in need of a forensic interview. The interviews are conducted by interview specialists. These are people who are trained and educated in the interview process. They participate in ongoing training in child sexual abuse and physical abuse, child development, and interviewing techniques. They are willing and capable to testify as expert witnesses. Now, the next step in this county that we're looking forward to is a multidisciplinary interview center. This is a center which would be designed for where the children can all be taken to for interviewing in this county. It must be developmentally sensitive in the environment, and there should be an observation room for interested parties. What we've looked at in other counties are situations where a child is presented in a room with the interview specialist. This is a person who has had extensive training in interviewing children and is totally neutral to the case. A person who's not involved in the investigation other than there to talk to the child. And this person will be in the room with the child while the agency who's responsible for investigating the case would be in an adjoining room with a two-way window. They can see everything that's going on, they can hear everything that's going on, but yet they're not there to frighten the child, to interfere in the investigation, but they can provide some input to the interviewer as to what questions should be asked. Our office, a district attorney who is very much attuned with what's needed in these cases, who is a specialist in prosecuting these cases, will also be present in that adjoining room with law enforcement, and we can make recommendations for what questions should be asked of the child. And the medical personnel can also be present in that adjoining room, as well as Child Protective Services, so that all of us can feed questions if we have a specific area of interest that we need to address to the interview specialist. But the specialist will be the only person interviewing the child, and the child will be videotaped. All that will be preserved for future use, for trial if necessary, also for defense attorneys if they desire to see how the child performs. It may very well avoid us having to present the child in court just so the defense attorneys can see how the child performs. This way the defense attorney can review the videotape and make his own assessment, his or her own assessment of the child, just as we do. And this really eliminates the need for multiple interviews of the child. Also, in the interview center, we're hoping that we have a medical examination room on site so that the child's family can bring the child to the interview center, and the child can not only be interviewed right there, but go to the next room then for the medical examination. This minimizes trauma through minimizes the trauma through a cooperative, multidisciplinary approach to intervention, investigation, and prosecution. Our goal now is to find a site for the multidisciplinary interview center. We need to provide equipment. We need the equipment to videotape and to set up the center so that a child can feel comfortable in the area, as well as having a waiting room for the child's parents. We need staffing. We need to have somebody who's there who can coordinate all the appointments that will be made. And we'd like to offer special thanks to the Protocol Committee, which includes the Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, Community Service Agency, County and City Schools, the District Attorney's Office, Haven, Health Service Agency, hospitals, and law enforcement agencies who are all part of the MDIC Protocol Committee, as well as probation. That pretty much ends the PowerPoint presentation. I'd just like to summarize that we really appreciate all the assistance that we've gotten from all the agencies, and I think every law enforcement agency, including our office and CPS, is really excited about the future in this county of eliminating the trauma for these children and really perfecting the investigation process and hopefully doing a much better job for our children in this county. Are there any questions of
Any questions for
Councilman?
Ms. McFadden?
No, just as I mentioned before, that it was in today's paper about the same thing. I had read this, and then I picked up the paper, and there it was again. So it's covered pretty well.
What, go ahead.
Well, I just wondered what the timeline is for completion of the site.
We have we've completed the protocol now, and we're working toward getting a site. I think right now we're trying to decide whether we want to have one particular agency be responsible for obtaining the funding, such as Child Protective Services or the District Attorney's Office, as some counties do, or some counties actually, the major law enforcement agency in that county is responsible for the funding and obtaining the funding. In other counties, they try a nonprofit status. And so there's some additional funding that's available in that area. And we're looking into investigating which avenue we'll pursue in this county. We're going to try and pursue the best avenue, whichever is obviously the most economical and the best all the way around for everyone. So if anybody knows of anyone willing to donate any sites, we'd obviously be interested in that. But we will hopefully be getting this up to speed in a short time. I'm hopeful by the end of the year we might have some more information that we can present to you on what's going to happen.
No, that was my question.
Well, Tim, did you have something?
Timothy Parker, 1321 Pointer Way. I just wanted to commend, is it Ms. Fadden? I'm a police officer in the Bay Area. I reside here in Newman, and I just wanted to commend the county on such a protocol, just to gain some perspective. I was interviewing and investigating a child abuse case on yesterday morning. I'm a detective for the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit BART Police Department, and her presentation is very thorough, and what I've seen to read through the packet is something that you definitely want to surround yourself with, because of the instances of child abuse. And I was going to ask, my question was going to be, in Stanislaus County, what is the number of cases that you do see, if you can give me some kind of perspective. And also, I will avail myself as a liaison, because I have with the advocacy that's in the Bay Area, certain contacts and a number of listings, just to help out with you guys is what you're doing here. I hadn't seen anything quite that organized on a county basis. Some cities, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, some of the cities, they have their own, but I'm not aware as a county base. And of course, the population is greater there, but what I've seen tonight and from your presentation is very well received. So.
I can let you know that, yes, I think San Francisco, a lot, because it's such a large area, has basically their city is involved. And I don't know how much their county is actually active. I'm sure different parts of their county have their own multidisciplinary centers. Other counties, though, such as Alameda.
Ms. McFadden, can you actually stand over there? That
yeah.
way the camera can get you there.
Alameda and that, they do have their own county operations. We see several cases of abuse. I don't actually have the statistics, but I know that myself, I probably see an average of about 3 cases every day that's presented to me in my office. And I'm one of 3 deputy district attorneys who's assigned to the particular crimes against children unit. So I would say we average per day about 5 to 10 cases that come into our office that have some aspects of child abuse. And so that's quite an alarming statistic when you consider the number of people that are in this county and how many other cases there are that come into this office. But there are quite a few cases, and we welcome any help that we can get from the general public and from anyone who obviously has some contacts in helping us get this started. We know that it's a difficult process, and if anybody has any comments on how we can improve on what we're doing, we certainly will welcome that. And we know we're going to be making some changes when we get started, but I think the important part is we are getting started and we're moving in the right direction, and this will bring some change to our county and hopefully change for the better.
Okay, great. Thank you, Timothy. I also want to thank you on behalf of the council for coming here tonight, and since this is a county-wide effort, if there is anything that the city can be of assistance to, whether through our law enforcement who's already been assisting or through the city in general, we would certainly like to keep informed of what's going on.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mayor, and thank you all, the council members.
Thank you for coming tonight. Okay. Item 9B, this consider approval of payment to Sketco for the City of Newman's fair share is determined by the Sketco board. I was informed that Charlene Speck could not make it here tonight, so we will reschedule that. Is that correct? Okay. Item number 10C, this consider a request by the West Side Niners organization to fund a portion of field light purchase. Cleve?
Just quickly, while Carmen Darcy, representing the West Side Niners, is coming up, you have the letter here, and you have a request from her.
Actually, can you hang on one second? That way, we could give you an opportunity to.
Yeah, you.
That way, we don't.
Yeah. You want to take a brief recess?
Yeah, we could take about a 1-minute recess if you all don't mind. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Bob's gonna get something. Doesn't have time to work. No. Is it on? Is it all right? Okay.
The podium.
Bob's back there going. Item 10C, this consider request by the West Side Niners organization to fund a portion of field light purchase. Carmen?
My name is Carmen Darcy, and I reside at 1319 Crabapple Way.
Mary Serpa, 2736 Freitas Road.
We have been speaking to Cleve. We presented a proposal. We're actually in need of purchasing some lights for our football organization for a practice field, among other things. It's been a long, drawn-out process. We just got approval yesterday at the school district board meeting that they had for us to be able. We're going to work together and run some electrical outlets in a keyed area, a locked box that will allow us power source to run electrical plug-in portable light fixtures. We've actually, a little bit of background, I don't know if everybody's read through I sent a letter off to the city, and Cleve did include in everybody's packet. Okay, if everybody's read. And we've come across something that has been a want for a long time, and actually in the last month it's become a requirement. We have run out of lighted fields for our kids to practice, and we practice 5 days a week, 2 hours from 6 to 8 p.m. And coming in October, with the daylight change and everything, we're in the dark all the time. Well, hopefully not for long. Anyways, so we're asking for some assistance from the city council for the purchase of 3 light fixtures to create 3 mini fields on the Oristimba practice football field. And we have come across a rather good deal, if you want to call it. A gentleman that lives here locally, works for Prime Equipment in Oakland, and they're being able to get the light fixtures because we are a nonprofit organization. They're able to get it to us for $100 over cost, and their company, Prime Equipment, is willing to do that for youth organizations and such. So we're asking for some financial assistance. This came to us as a surprise. We do fundraisers all year long. We usually budget about $700 or so a year for miscellaneous projects every year to make improvements to the program. And the total light package for the 3 fixtures that we need to facilitate the fields is going to be about almost $3,600. So we're asking for a little bit of an advance with a prepay or with a payback plan, and potentially, hopefully, a partial donation of that as well as a permanent fixture. And in discussing with Cleve in the past couple days, the lights would be available for city functions to use at other things. We will keep them stored in our storage container, but they would be available for use. They tend to be a little bit fragile, but light bulbs can be replaced. They're a little expensive, but I can't imagine anything but that would be a problem. So at this point, we'd like to ask for your assistance in helping our 100-and-something kids be able to continue to play football and cheerleading this year and in the future.
Are there any questions? Yeah. Oh, go ahead. How many teams do you have?
We have 3 teams: novice, JV, and varsity. Our novice boys go from range 8 through 10. JV starts 11 through 10, 11, 12, and then our varsity is 12, 13, and 14. And we belong to the Trans Valley Youth Football League, which has a total of 13 teams.
Have you ever considered practicing during daylight hours, like at Barrington Park or something like that?
Most of our coaches are volunteers, and they work and they commute, and they don't come rolling into town until about 6 o'clock.
And we would have conflict with the high school at that point, because it's
Not at Barrington Park.
Oh, at Barrington? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the Barrington.
Oh, okay.
May I jump in here?
Wait, hang on a second. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Are there any questions up here?
What is the, when does the season, how long does it last? What does
The official season started this year, August 7th, and will run through November 18th if we make playoffs.
okay, so basically, you're talking about 2 weeks of practice in standard time, because the time changes the last,
Yeah, but
basically the last day of
we run
October.
out of daylight even before that at
I
6
realize
o'clock.
that.
Yeah. In the next week or so, we start running out of actual light.
Okay, so you guys, the season runs from August 7th through November 18th? Is that-
Basically, yes.
When do you guys start practicing, you said?
We started August 7th.
Oh, okay.
Games haven't started.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
Our
I see.
first official game will be September 2nd.
Oh, September. Okay, okay.
And the games are not an issue because we have the use of the
Right,
high
you
school
guys go.
for the
Right.
field. It's basically just for practice, but it's something that,
So how many days do you guys figure you guys practice? I mean, a couple days a week, 3 days a week?
5 days a week,
Oh, 5 days a week?
5 days a week, 2 hours a day.
Plus the is the cheerleading concurrent with the
Yeah,
practices?
yeah.
So we're
we try-
looking, for these 3 months then, I mean, 'cause I know we always look at, and I know down here at the bottom we talked about the Tatarek settlement fund, some of the 40,000. But, you know, it seems to me that in almost the 9 years I've been on the council here that other than for the fireworks, I don't think I've ever, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen the West Side Niners come to us for anything other than to allow them to sell fireworks. Is it,
We're totally self-sufficient,
right,
yeah.
right. And,
Except for this unforeseen instance.
right. And now these 100 kids, most of them are from Newman or third or half or?
Newman, Crow's Landing, and Gustine.
Gustine probably, this year we've seen actually our lowest enrollment from Gustine. It varies from year to year. I would say maybe less than 20% are from Gustine. The rest are
Most
Newman
of
and
them Newman
Yeah,
Crow's
they
Landing.
pretty much always
What-
have been.
On this settlement fund, I know we have the, how much did we say on the skate park?
Well, we have, the total on
We
the
had-
skate park is 17,000,
Right.
but we had 5,000 already budgeted,
Already,
so an
so
addition of
12.
about 12.
So we had 28 left over from the Tatark settlement?
Approximately, yeah.
Okay. 28. Okay. Okay.
I have a question, please.
Go ahead.
I noticed the lights on the field no longer work, and there's no immediate plan to repair them due to cost.
For the high school, the Oristimba High School?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, and not any time currently. It's apparently exceeding $20,000 to fix, and they don't ever really use them except in the spring for their baseball tournament, the boosters. They provide a tournament in the springtime. That's about the only time they've ever used them. We, I think, use them more than they do.
Okay. And the lights that you're proposing, they're not fixed, are they?
No. They're totally portable on wheels, carts, and they have telescoping. It
And you
says
said they run on
12 foot.
150
110.
or 110? I'm sorry,
110 standard
110,
electric. It's 15 amp breakers each,
Okay.
and we've worked out everything with the district yesterday. We've got the approval to go ahead and do some modifications for its connection, and we pay for the rent of the electricity, $5 an hour.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions, Timothy, you had a question?
Well, you
Comment?
know, this hit home with me, and I had to address it because I was a Newman Niner football coach for several years. And Ms. Serper spoke of the novice. I was the first head coach for the novice when they brought that team in and started that program. And I can recall vividly being at Von Renner, the elementary school, and parents driving up their cars and turning their car lights on so that we could practice in the evening. And Tom asked a valid question about using the park facility that we currently have under daylight hours. I adjusted my shift and worked graveyard so I could get home in time so I can be there for the kids and volunteer the time to coach because I have a passion for football. It taught me most of my discipline, so police work kind of was a natural progression for me. And because you can be a soft person and speak with the kids, but adhere to the discipline. So it kind of just touched me when they come before you for the lights because that's been something that, 9 years ago, since I've been here in 1991 and coached for a few years, something that I would kind of suggest if the city can afford to do that under the provisions, particularly since they're paying back some of the money. I think it's a good thing. The kids, particularly the males, it helps them to be out there. They can be aggressive and play ball, and it's under a positive guide. And all the volunteerism that goes into it, there's a lot of energy that goes on out there. I've been able to visit with Joe, that's coaching varsity over at Barrington with some of the practices, and Dennis is coaching JV. And you see all the enthusiasm, and I just think it's something that's worthwhile being supported.
Do you allow girls to play?
You know something? When I was in high school, there was a girl that played in JV, and that's back when I was high school, so that was a little time ago.
That's a long time ago.
Last year we had a little novice girl play.
Good, good, good.
One of the things I wondered about is, has this kind of light been used before in other areas to a positive extent? One of the things I'm concerned about is the safety. I know those halogen lights get very hot. I don't know how they do in the wind. I wish there were a way to fund it for permanent lighting, because that's the answer. But I guess
These are these halogen lights? I thought you said last night they weren't.
These are metal halide.
Right.
They're not quartz
Halide.
halogen.
Oh, okay.
They are
They're not halogen
lights. They get
and they take like 20 minutes to cool down. But they will be run by the board members. I mean, that we are always
I'm sure
out
you'll
there
have all the
administering.
safety things.
Yeah.
But I wondered how they do in the wind. You know, I know that's one of the problems they had with the other lights. They blew out in a windstorm.
Well, I think that was, I mean, in the
There
middle of
might
a
be-
storm like that,
maybe there's a way to secure 'em.
First of all, they were very antiquated and sort of falling apart. A lot of loose pieces flapping around, I'm sure, and they arced out somehow. If we had our kids in a windstorm like that,
They wouldn't
we
be
wouldn't be
playing.
out there. We'd have them all packed up anyways. And they are portable enough. The telescoping, it compacts down, and we keep them in our storage container. So they're,
I was
not-
president of Santa Maria Youth Football for a few years, so we always played. I don't care what the weather was, we played.
Well, yeah,
No lightning.
Yeah, no lightning. We did have to clear them off the field once a couple years ago. We had some lightning scares, so, but,
Well, one of the questions I had was the cost to just replace the others, but it sounds as though it's a lot higher.
it's in
than-
excess of
$20,000.
$20,000.
Well, one of the things that you say here in this letter is that the city would have access to to using these lights.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
Not for barbecues, Charles.
No, I'm just saying, as far as if there's events like the, fall festival or things like that. if
yeah. Let's see, can we get them here by the 2nd? I don't know.
Well, and I guess the reason I asked as far as, because you made the offer in your letter as far as if we needed use of them.
Correct,
Because,
correct.
as I pointed out a few minutes ago, you guys have never come to us for anything.
No.
And, we've talked about different activities that we can do in this community for kids that are, allow them to do recreational type activities, stay out of trouble, do productive things and so forth. And, it seems like those kids, end up, staying out of trouble, I suspect, or otherwise
We keep them off the streets for
Right.
at least 2 hours a night.
Right, and, I suspect if there's troublemakers, if you guys might, consider letting them off the team if there's problems.
Actually, we found that there have been some challenges for the coaches, and it ends up being a way for the kids to vent. It's actually turned around.
Right.
Yeah, we've seen positive things come around from situations we know aren't always good at home.
Right.
It's a place that they can, kind of get away and not have to deal with the other stuff.
Right. Okay, so I guess what I'm getting at is if we've got this $28,000 in this recreation account from Tatark, which the whole intention of it, that part of it anyway, the $40,000 was to go for recreational type activities. If you guys are going to get a very good use out of it, obviously there's a need. We're going to get some use out of it because we'll be able to use the lights, when we need them.
At least a 20-minute notice.
I'm of the opinion that, possibly out of that account, the city pays the $3,552.77, and the only thing that I would ask in exchange is if we could maybe work with you guys and come up with some type of community project in exchange for purchasing these lights, which would be helpful for us and would be helpful for you all.
I think that sounds like something we'll bring up at Parks and Rec next month.
Okay.
That would be great. Wow.
That way everybody kind of, gets a little something out of it. Is there any objections to that from the council?
Only one question I had is, does it include any spares? And how much
No,
would spares be?
the light bulbs are fairly expensive, but he told us he would sell them to us at cost. We are gonna, that wasn't included as extras on here. I think, if I remember right, they were about $50 a piece. So we will have to carry some extras in case, and they are fragile, especially when they're hot. So that's why they have to be handled gingerly,
And how soon do you think we could get these?
They're supposedly readily available. I'm going to call him first thing tomorrow morning. I anticipate we could have them by the end of the week. They're built in San Leandro.
Okay.
So he didn't foresee a problem as far as ordering them. And he knows that we were coming today to talk to you folks. So
And you've taken care of all the upgrades to the electric panel that needed. Are there any upgrades needed to your electric panel to?
actually, we're meeting with an electrician tomorrow who's going to donate his time, and he's going to put a materials list together for us. So there will be a source. They're probably going to pull out from the portables outside the fenced utility area with a locked box. I would imagine maybe $100, maybe $2. We've done some minor electrical work here and there. I'm not really sure exactly. We'll find out tomorrow what the total is on that.
So Charles, then you're recommending no repayment?
Right, I'm recommending that we pay for it, plus we're allowed use of these things.
There
and-
goes your, see, you can buy a lot of bulbs with that.
Yeah.
And also,
I'll buy stocking bulbs, yes.
and also the main thing actually is not only this, but if we can get together on a community service project, which would be beneficial for the community, plus also be beneficial for the kids going out and doing a community service project
Definitely.
in the community.
Now, I hope, does
But you
Cleve
could-
have a
you could work
list
with-
of projects that
You
we
could work
can...
with Cleve on that if
We'll find one.
Oh, yeah. Getting that skateboard park put together?
we could find, we'll find it. We'll work with you as far as coming up with a community service project. If that, are there any objections for the city paying the $3,552.77 out of the TARC settlement fund that was specifically targeted for recreation?
So moved.
Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Got a big smile on your face.
Yes, we did not expect this. Thank you. Thank you. And Cleve has my number.
Charles is on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ken?
Item number 10D, this is a Fall Festival 2000 informational report. Mike?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Our annual Fall Festival is almost upon us again, and with that we'll have certain street closures, the same as pretty much in the years past on our street, Fresno, Tulare, Q, and on Sunday the 3rd we will have the parade, which will also have further closures, but these will be just as we have in the past. The only things that we're looking at that will be a little bit different are going to be the hours that are going to be extended on Saturday the 2nd from 11 to 1 a.m. We're looking at having Fall Festival Committee is looking at having a street dance. The police department doesn't dance very well, so. But they're on Fresno Street and our street, and the Rotary Beer Booth will be staying open just a little bit longer till 1 a.m. on that day also to accommodate that. And the rest of the park will be closed off to the public by use of a temporary fencing, which we've already got pretty much in place. And there are fireworks that are scheduled for later on that evening on Sunday at the high school, and there'll be a walking parade from the park to the high school on Sunday, September 3rd. And both of these events, though, will cost a little bit more in overtime to the officers to cover the additional coverage that will be needed for these events. We've been working with the Fall Festival Committee to meet their needs for police coverage, and basically the history of this event has been such that we've only had minor incidents during the Fall Festival, and so I think we've had excellent coverage, and they just put on an excellent event. And with that, I will leave it to Susan Mattis to answer any of your questions you may have, unless you have need of further clarification for the report that I submitted to you regarding it. The other thing is on the street closures, I will be going out, as we have in the past, to the residents to inform them that their streets will be closed, but they're pretty well, I should say, aware of that at this point. And with that, I'll leave you with Susan.
Uh-oh.
I come to you today bearing gifts. I want to give all of you a schedule of events for the weekend, so you'll have that. And this, we can go down to Cleve. That's for a request for city services, which I always have. If you guys want to do those, you can. And, let's see, and then that is passed down to Margaret for the insurance
Margaret's not
thing,
here.
so
I'll
she
take
can
it.
submit that.
Please.
And then, I have coffee mugs for all of you to use in your cars. And this year we're having fireworks, and one of the big events before the fireworks is going to be
Cherry bombs?
No, not cherry bombs. It's going to be a flashlight parade, not to be confused with a candlelight parade. They can hear me. And this little flashlight has a little, thing at the end, and we're going to do a little flashlight procession all the way down to the OHS football field. So each one of you can have a coffee mug and a flashlight, and we hope we'll see you at the fall festival. And this is called bribery.
That's what I was questioning.
And it's okay, right?
It's okay, and it works.
Judy gets one too.
That's yours.
Is that it?
Wait a minute, how many we have?
And Tom gets one too.
Oh, I get one too?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Look at that.
Wait a minute. Hey, forget the bribery.
I could bribe you too because you send the money into the court. So, I know I have to bribe you too.
Cleve will get one. No, I have one.
Cleve has one already, see. I already bribed him early.
That's why this is such a brief step.
That's right. Basically, as Mike, I forgot his name, said, all of the events are pretty much the same as what you have become accustomed to. The only thing that we did change was to extend the hours on Saturday because there are no establishments downtown, and we talked about trying to keep the residents in the park, which we thought would be a good idea. And then on Sunday, as you know, we will be having the fireworks at 9:30. That is free to everyone in the community. There's no admission charges. And we've hired a real wonderful company from from the Los Angeles area who promises to put on a spectacular show for us. And so we hope that we'll see all of you there. And preceding that, very truthfully, we are going to do a little flashlight parade, which will start immediately after the lip sync contest, and we'll proceed down to the football field. And that's just in hopes that people will leave their cars parked at the park and not cause the police department such a hassle going down the streets, and they'll walk over to the football field with all of us. So we're hoping that that will just be kind of a fun thing to do. And then the firemen have also volunteered to do what they call a mini muster, and one of their members has taken that over and is getting Patterson and Gustine to become involved with that. So that should be a really, fun event. And really, I have no additional requests, from the city. Ernie and I will, I'm sure, get together on all the public works things, and the ones with the asterisk, Ernie, are the kind of new things that we haven't talked about before. And then, as in the past, we've hired Misty from the Public Works Department to work for us for the weekend, in addition to any other people that Ernie happens to have on crew. And we did that for the first time last year, and I appreciate your cooperation in making that happen. That was an excellent thing. And I didn't have to go home with the heat stroke, so that was very good. So we'll do that again this year, and hopefully have some additional people to help us out. So it's almost there, and everything's pretty well in place, and so I hope we have a good festival. And if we do have a good festival, I accommodate you on your project for the lights for the football field, and if we do have a good festival and are able to make some money this year, we would be more than happy, I'm sure, to contribute some of that back to the city for the use of the lights during the festival, because I think those would be very beneficial to the park. So while I can't guarantee that, I will tell you that, that is something that I will take back to the committee for sure. So, any questions or anything about any of the events?
Are there any questions for Susan?
Just one on just on Mike's thing here. It mentions that the Rotary Beer booth will stay open along to 1 a.m. What about the margarita booth?
That would be the same thing.
Okay, it just wasn't mentioned on here.
Right. I'm a Rotarian, so.
All of the food booths, any food booth that wants to stay open, and the drinks will all be able to stay open. The only ones that we won't allow to be open will be any of the commercial booths and the arts and crafts booths. We'll try and what we're going to try and do is put up the temporary fencing on the other side of the gazebo and the horseshoe, blocking the area, and just try and do kind of like a little beer garden per se. So keep people out of the other side of the park.
Right. And Ferris has already picked up her letter with the 1 a.m. on hers also. Yes.
Why didn't you guys just shoot for 2 o'clock? Everybody knows, everybody stays out there till the last exact minute.
Yeah, we didn't want to stress everybody out, and the other issue was, normally we close the bands off at midnight.
Oh, okay.
And with the residents,
Right,
and so
that's
forth,
right.
we thought, 1 a.m. would be pushing it. If it goes to 1:30, oh well. But, it won't go much further than that, We'll just see how business is at 1 a.m.
Okay,
Okay?
that's fine. Any other questions for Susan? Okay. Thank you again for
Thank you very
for
much.
everything. It's unbelievable that this fall festival just keeps coming so quickly. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Mike. Item 10E, this adopt resolution number 2000, ratifying a memorandum of understanding between the City of Newman and Operating Engineers Local Union 3, which covers police officers, corporal, and sergeant. Cleve?
Yes, Mayor and Council, you have the agreements, the MOUs before you that I handed out tonight. These have been ratified by both unions, and the council had previously discussed these. Just quickly, I will outline the terms of the 2 agreements for the audience because they don't have the agreements with them. Both of the agreements are for a 1-year term. For the police, includes a 4% salary increase, changing the 5-step salary scale to a 7-step salary scale. The health insurance is being changed to pay 100% of premiums for the Blue Shield HMO 10 plan as opposed to the current HMO 5 plan. The addition of a corporal position, this is not a new position, but an upgrade or a promotional position from within that we will be looking at, and a $50 increase in uniform allowance. For miscellaneous employees is also a 1-year term, increase in salary of 4%. Same with the health insurance, changing to the Blue Shield HMO 10 plan, and a $50 increase in uniform allowance. Those are the basic changes or provisions of the contract. Obviously, there's a lot more in the MOU, but those are the main changes to the MOU for those. So, Kamala, I guess we ought to do these separately, each one.
All right. Did you have a question? At this time, I'll ask that we adopt resolution number 2000 next to number, ratifying a memorandum of understanding between the City of Newman and Operating Engineers Local Union number 3, which covers police officers, corporal, and sergeant.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item 10F, adopt resolution number 2000, ratifying a memorandum of understanding between the City of Newman and Operating Engineers Local Union 3, which covers miscellaneous.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay.
G.
Item 10G, adopt resolution number 2000 next to number, resolution approving salary schedule for miscellaneous management and confidential employees. Motion? Oh, go ahead.
The same plan as I have just discussed for miscellaneous employees will basically be in effect with the exception of the uniform allowance. Includes a 4% increase for management and confidential employees, supervisory employees that are not members, are not eligible to be members of the union that was just discussed. The health insurance plan will also change for those employees. This includes all employees with the exception of the city manager.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Cleve. Item 10H, this approval of warrant 19161 to PG&E. Can I have some direction, please?
Motion we approve item 10H, warrant to PG&E.
We have a motion. Can we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0 with one non-participating. Item 11, these are items from the city manager, Cleve.
The only thing I wanted to comment on quickly was the progress that is happening with the school bond. And Tom Applegate or Charles Marquez have both been closely involved with this also. Quickly, what I wanted to point out, the ballot statement was approved by the school board last night at their meeting and was submitted today on time. I think, right, Susan? It was submitted on time. It was due today, so we did get that in. And we're moving forward. One of the things I just want to mention quickly, yesterday I went with the superintendent, a couple of his principals, and a couple of his school board members, and we visited a site in San Jose where they have used, I've been asked not to use this word, but I'm going to anyway, modular construction, which is becoming very common for school buildings. The buildings are being determined to be as structurally sound as normal construction. They can be built much faster, and they are cheaper, estimated between 20 to 30% cheaper than normal construction. They are reviewing this. The one thing that this will ensure is that the school can be built with the funds that we are proposing to raise from the bond. And one of the positive things that I'm really seeing coming out of this, if we can continue and follow through and make this work, is that potentially we could have a middle school built and ready to be used by this coming school year in September, which is a big plus in comparison to what we've been looking at, a possibly 18-month to 2-year time span to build a school, traditional construction. So I just wanted to update the council on that. We are moving forward. We have a committee set up. I will mention Susan Mattis is the chair of that committee, and we are feverishly working to make this work. It is a desperate need that we have in this community to build schools. I mentioned the middle school. There are other components of that: modernization of the high school, some modernization work over at Bonita School, and also the construction of a senior education / community center here in Newman. So there are some very positive things that can come from this, and we're moving forward with that. If there's any questions, I can answer those.
I'd rather have you say that schools can build less expensive, not cheaper.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one of the things just on that before we go to items from the council is our hopes are that as the campaign progresses a little bit more, we're hoping to involve the public as much as possible. And one of the things we want to have is that we've talked about is a night at the theater. You know, we'd like to schedule something like that to where when we had our flood meeting a few years back, we had renderings up there. We invited the public, came out and took a look at what was going on. We're able to ask questions as far as what the particulars were. So we will hope in the weeks ahead that the public who's watching this tonight will know that we will have meetings and we will invite the public to participate in this process. Yeah, and we will definitely start after 6 o'clock so that we can get as many of the public out there as possible. All right. Anything else, Cleve?
One more item, as hopefully you know, our bids for the streetscape will be in and open tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Assuming those come back in line with what we want, and there's not a lot of investigation we have to go to look at those, I'm proposing to ask the mayor to call a special meeting for next Tuesday, the 29th, to ask you to August 29th, yeah, to award the bid at that time. So no action necessary, but I'm not asking you to firm that up right now because we need to open the bids and look at them in case something extraordinary comes out in that we are not able to do that at that time. But right now, that's what we're shooting for. So.
Okay. And at this time, obviously, we'll know tomorrow when we open up these bids here. But is next Tuesday objectionable to is everybody okay with that?
No.
Okay. Sorry. So if need be, then we'll schedule it. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
That's all.
No. Okay. Councilmember Martina, anything tonight?
Oh, just to comment about Oliver. Of course, I think a lot of people here tonight have had an opportunity to go to Oliver, and I think it's very exciting when a community can present something like this. The talent was unbelievable, and it showcases our town. We've had a lot of people come in from other little towns, from Modesto, and they see the town of Newman. I just think that theater has really done a lot for this town, and we're blessed to have it. You know, we've made it the focal point of our city, and I think it's doing the job that it was intended to do, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Tom?
Yes, there will be a booth at the Newman Fall Festival for the Yes on Measure E bond issue. So if you have questions, stop by and see us. We'll have pamphlets for you, I hope. But there will be rendering drawings of what the school looks like, and we'll have badges to wear.
Buttons.
So just come out and see us. Just want to say one thing, that the city is in a crisis as far as education goes. And we need to do something. We need to pass this bond issue. Just for the betterment of the town, to bring in more industry, more jobs, and to, especially for our kids, so they get a better education. So that's why I'm behind it.
Anything else, Tom? That's it. Thank you very much. Councilmember Radford?
Well, I just want to echo Councilmember Martinez's comments, and also to thank all those volunteers. If it weren't for all those volunteers that spent hundreds, literally hundreds of hours of their own time to put that theater together, we wouldn't have it. And can't thank you guys enough. We got a couple of them right here in this room, several of them, and then Susan and her team that does this fall festival every year, all the hours. I mean, that's what makes Newman so special. And you know, thank you very much. So.
Anything else, Sheila?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Reed?
A couple of things. One, Ernie, where do we stand on the demolition of the old Demare buildings over there on the highway?
I met with a couple of the engineers from Precision Inspection, and we went and looked at the premises. There will be a report forthcoming to you that will let you know what is there, and a few alternatives as to which buildings we should keep, which ones we should demolish right away, and locations of new fence lines.
The reason I ask is for each one of these performances that they're having of Oliver, there isn't a parking place to be had in the whole downtown area. They're just, and we could sure use some extra ones there if we could get rid of that, particularly that one building that's kind of looks bad over there anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you have a report forthcoming.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing, it's probably a little early in the season to talk about Christmas, but we, particularly if we can get this streetscape going, we are in need of a spot to put a Christmas tree. We can't put it in the corner at the intersection anymore. So I would like to see us go ahead and get a cut tree this year and put it in the parking lot to see how it works out. And if it works out, then possibly next year we can go ahead and plant a live tree in there and want that to be a permanent Christmas tree for us.
You mean taking out the trees that are there now?
No, the tree would be on back farther in the lot. It wouldn't affect the. I think those trees may come out when they do the streetscape anyway, but
yeah.
It would be set back farther from there.
Seems as though there was some discussion on where to place that Christmas tree early on.
Is that going to be a big enough area? I mean, I know the parking lot's pretty
right
good.
in the middle of that parking lot.
Yeah, it would.
Center.
It would be particularly between the two light posts, because you're going to need some sort of support like we have those crossed wires on the intersection.
I was just thinking what the merchants might think, taking up all those parking spaces.
Well, no, it really wouldn't, Tom.
No, it wouldn't take up any parking.
It may take.
Wouldn't?
No, you could probably. It might take
There's a walkway
a large space where you might get a truck in there and only put a compact car, but really wouldn't take up anything.
If you will, we'll bring back a report to you on the 12th. And with some
let's take a look at a
recommendations.
couple of those things, because I'm not too sure about that piece right there. Anything else, Dave?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a couple items tonight, and I just actually wanted to add a little bit to what David said about the building that we own on Highway 33. And actually, I want to go a little bit further. It looks terrible. I mean, it doesn't look kind of bad. And I hope you said, you know, I could say it looks terrible because we own it. So I don't want to. But you said you're going to come back to us with a report if we get cracking on this thing, because I mean, I suspect that there's not enough time now with the fall festival coming up, but you know, especially in light of with that theater there, and then you've got, you know, I'd like to see a lot more visibility for that theater, and then, you know, that building does not look good at all. So if we could get that.
We should be able to have that for you on the 12th of September.
Okay. Second thing is, were we going to have a timeline on that skate park coming back to us anytime soon?
Anytime soon. Well, I'll do my best to have something for you on that on the 12th. I'm still trying to locate consultants to work on that for us. So.
Okay, 12. Okay. The other thing, well, before I get to the other thing, we had, I don't know how many times we've talked about this with these service club signs, this project that we were supposed to do a year ago or however long it is. And I know there was an issue with regards to the type of materials that the city had
That was
you know.
resolved. I think maybe to quickly get through it, we'll ask the Rotary president to address that.
Yeah, I did identify myself as that, didn't I? Yeah, basically, that's one of my projects this year that I'm working on. Right now, it's at the one of the fabricators here in town, Spec 5 Steel. We're looking to get a bid from them to find out how much it's going to cost to actually put the structures at both ends of town. So once I get that bid back, we'll kind of see how far we're going to be able to go with that from what I've had budgeted in my current budget.
But I know one of the problems, though, was that the city had required something that was, you know, above and beyond probably the cost. And,
Yeah, I think that was resolved though, Charles. It was the painting, the powder coat painting. Yeah, and I think we resolved that, didn't we?
Yes,
Mike?
we did.
I think it was offered that part of the problem was they needed to get it over to a paint shop in the Bay Area or
Right.
somewhere, and somebody offered to do that, to take that over for them. So I think that was resolved. Yeah,
I think it was this man right
our
here.
public works director volunteered. So that issue has been resolved. It's just a matter of getting them built and, you know, having the money to do that and get it going. So.
Just one thing to throw out with this whole thing, though, and this is something that's been brought up by some other people, is that at the north end of town, you have that sign out there, and that's where we want to put it, but you got that great big tree in front of it. You're not going to be able to see the sign. And somebody said that that's a memorial tree.
Is there room to put the sign in front of the tree? Can we move the sign?
Well, actually, the way we have the sign design is actually going above our current Welcome to Newman sign.
Above the current?
Yes, it actually goes on either side.
But the way the
above
tree
it.
is right now, I mean, you won't be able to see the sign.
Be a good tree for that,
You could dig it up and
Christmas
make a
tree.
Christmas tree out of it.
There you go.
There's your Christmas tree.
Well, I just want to see something come back, because I know we've all been talking about this till we're blue in the face, and we've talked about this painting pattern and this and that. And, you know, I drive through every other town in this county and everywhere else. Everybody's got those service club signs except us. And I know that I just don't understand what the holdup is here.
Well, he's the third president working on it.
Wow.
That's right. And it will be done.
Well, the reason I say that is because, you know, we're looking at doing that railroad crossing, you know, with the railroad crossing and everything. We talked about doing one of those business park signs and everything else. And, you know, these are things that we've talked about I don't know how many times. And it seems like they just vanish and, you know, we never hear about them again. And, you know, I'd at least like to see some hard copy of something that says where we're at.
We talked about this 5 or 6 years ago. I remember sitting out there talking about it.
I just want to see, if we can we get a hard copy to give us?
What I'll do on this item, I'll talk to the Rotary president and see what kind of timeline we can possibly put together and bring back a report to you.
Okay, great. And the last thing is,
Pressure's on now.
I know we met on the probably 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was. We had a Highway 33 specific plan committee meeting, probably 3 years ago or so. And this is going to be great what we're doing downtown as far as these facades, the streetscape, and everything else. But you know, you start driving down Highway 33, I've started to see some broken windows on some of these abandoned buildings and so forth. And I think probably after the first of the year, when after the smoke clears on this downtown project, I would like to see the council, and I won't be on it here anymore, but at least the council to consider reconvening this Highway 33 specific plan committee, get the property owners that own property or businesses on Highway 33, do some renderings as far as how we want Highway 33 to look like, and then start the process of redeveloping Highway 33. Because it seems that when we did the downtown and we started, getting the ball rolling on that, we were able to go out for grants. We started the project rolling. I think we just need to look at readdressing what we're going to do on Highway 33. But that's for a future council to decide. With that, if there are any other questions, I'll ask for an adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, meeting adjourned.